Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to our Mindful Leadership podcast with my co-host, Natasha Rocha. Hello, Natasha.
Hi, everybody. Hi, John. Hi, Sarah.
And hello to Sarah, our special guest. It's wonderful to have you here, Sarah. Sarah Cahill, if I'm saying it right.
Cahill,
Um,
yep.
Cahill. Dr. Sara Cahill is a chiropractor in Iowa who's been practicing the Gone Steed technique for last 7 years. And through her own experiences, has learned how healing helps on many levels and in different ways. She now utilizes craniosacral facial technique, or CFT, and neuro emotional technique, NET, and human design to help our clients achieve more mental, emotional, and spiritual health, along with the physical. Her ultimate goal with her new business, Seeds, is to allow women to honor every part of themselves so they may move through life with ease and alignment. She's here to help women put down what they no longer need and move forward in a way that leaves them deeply understanding, loving, and embracing who they are. And your suggested topics today are mindful progression and evolution in business. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And perhaps you could start by telling us a little bit about yourself. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, well, as the bio said, I'm in Iowa, which is in the very middle of the United States. We just talked about it labeled as flyover country. It's very
Oh,
quiet here, which is really quite nice. I grew up here, so I left for school in Atlanta, so in a big, big city, and then was brought back to Iowa, which I think is kind of part of my whole story. I suppose I could just go straight in with that.
yeah, please do.
I I really feel like chiropractic chose me. I have like the first time that I ever saw a chiropractor was when I was in between fifth and sixth grade. My mom's insurance just changed, so we ended up having full coverage for chiropractic care. No one in my family that I knew of had ever been to a chiropractor. Like we didn't have any problems, like any pain, so we never went. But because it was covered, we're like, sure, we'll go ahead and go. So I just remember we called him Dr. Chad. Like it was so cool to be able to call a doctor by their first name. His office was very, very laid back. We watched a bunch of videos and it felt like very educational to be there and learning a whole bunch like about how our bodies work and just like seeing just how his mind worked and how he looked at the body. Just never had that level of like explanation from a doctor before. Usually it was just like you go in, they give you the answer, you leave with the answer, and then that was the cycle. So there was just a lot more like back and forth interface, like interacting with him, which was really fun. My brothers and I all had pretty intense seasonal allergies. Theirs are more in the spring and mine's more in the fall. But over that summer, we got chiropractic care that whole summer, and I have never had my seasonal allergies come back after that. So that
Wow.
was pretty incredible. So to come in without a problem and then have something that I never even was on my radar to be helped with chiropractic just be gone and not be an issue anymore was crazy. And the timing for mine is funny because in the fall, we always have our school pictures, but I would have these like very sleepy, droopy eyes from all the Benadryl that I would take. And so like you can see like when I no longer take that anymore and I feel look so much brighter and like aware because I wasn't on this sleepy medication for these allergies anymore, just with the timing of it being in the fall. And that chiropractor ended up moving away. So we didn't see him anymore, but my allergies still stayed gone and that always like kind of stuck with me. And then just moving through school, I really was pretty good at school. It was never very difficult for me. I liked helping other people. It was very evident from a young age for that I just cared about others and wanted them to be good. So it's something in healthcare was kind of the natural pull where I was like, I know that I could be successful doing a lot of school. So I feel like I kind of had so many people feel very lost as young people, like not knowing like what to choose to do with the rest of their lives. And I do remember being in high school and being asked, like, well, what are you going to go to college for? Like, what are you going to study? And I hadn't really thought about it that much, but I opened my mouth and chiropractor just came out.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I didn't really even like think about that. I was like, but whatever, we'll roll with that for now. And then like I can change my mind and my trajectory later. And I really feel like that seed was planted. Like I just started to do different projects in school where we had to like forecast what college would cost. And so I factored in chiropractic school. So I kind of mentally prepared for that. it just like kind of like planted the seed of that idea. And then it just grew from there. So I feel like I was very lucky to have a sense of direction right away, where so many young people are like, how am I supposed to know at 18 what I'm supposed to do with my life? Where I don't necessarily like, I understand that mode of thinking being so young, but I just did not have that experience. I just feel like I was like placed on this path, and then the path was basically revealed to itself. So there, I ended up going to college for a biology degree. I still was kind of like one foot in, one foot out, because I was like, well, with a biology degree, like I could go do a bunch of different things. I could be an eye doctor, or I could be a dermatologist, or I could do like a dentistry, like something like still in the healthcare avenue, but like my options were open essentially. But again, it's just like this path had been laid already. It was like I did not have a choice in this matter. I like looking back, it's like I ended up exactly where I needed to be. So I decided my sophomore year of college I should get involved with an office just to see like if I actually liked it. There are so many people who get into like the grad school and they're like, wow, this is so different from what I thought. Like, I don't actually like it. And I had heard horror stories about that. I was like, well, I want to be really sure before I get into it that I actually like what this profession represents. So back then we got phone books at our apartment. They just came with our apartment. So I flipped through the yellow pages and called every single office in my college town, and just asked them. I was like, do you have any work available? Like as the calls went on and I kept getting no's, I got more and more desperate, where I was like, I'll clean the bathrooms. I'll do anything like to be like involved with an office. I just want to see what it's about. And at the end of the alphabet, I called Wason Family Chiropractic. I was like, all right, this is my last ditch effort. And the woman who answered the phone said, oh, yeah, we have a part time position available for pre chiropractic students. It's paid, it's an internship. You actually get credit through the school for working here. And she was like, yeah, come in. Like, we have somebody up until March, and then we can bring you in, and like, that'll be great. So it literally, the stars just aligned. Like, of course they did. So I was like, all right, cool. So then that was probably October that I first called them. So then I kept calling and just being like, hey, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. It was very persistent. And then in March, I came in for an interview for the position. And it was my boss's wife, Jen, who conducted the interview. And her and I had very good rapport right off the bat. She gave me a tour of the office. And she kept saying, as we're going through this tour, she's like, well, our office is a little different than other offices. Our office is a little different. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, tell me about what's different. And she's like, well, we have all of our women. They wear gowns that open in the back so that the doctor can open them and get to the skin that's over the spine. So we can run this little meter. And she showed me the meter. And I was like, oh, yeah, my chiropractor that I saw did that. And she was like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's what my chiropractor did. We wore gowns, we had x-rays, like he ran that meter every single time. Like I've seen that table before. I've seen that table before. Like everything was like, this is very familiar. I had no idea that there were multiple like techniques within chiropractic, and there are hundreds of them. And my chiropractor at home did the exact same technique that this chiropractor did, which is so, so very rare. So I was like, oh, like, I didn't even know. And that's what the Gonstead technique is. It's just a specific approach to how we address the spine. So not only did I find my way to this office, but it was the exact kind of chiropractic that I was used to, like was familiar to me, like what chiropractic was. I was like, whoa, this is just crazy. So of course I ended up being hired there. I worked the front desk for 2 years, got my college credit. And then it came time to leave for school. So I honestly had in my mind that I was never going to come back to small town Iowa. I was like, listen, like I want to go on a big adventure. I want to go be in the big city where there's lots of fun and excitement. So I moved down to Atlanta for school. But I do remember my last day working that front desk, I was very emotional. And there are lots of patients that still come into the office who remember how emotional I was that day. I was kind of a wreck because it felt like, I mean, of course, the closing of a chapter, but I just felt, I was like, I will miss these people so much. Like my friends and family, of course, I'll come back to visit, but I don't know if I'm going to see these people again. And they just left such a deep, deep impact on me. And Blake, who was my boss, said, you never know, Sarah, like we might work together again in the future. And I was like, you're just saying that to make me feel better. Like you don't mean it at all. But then, of course, I go to school. I become very dedicated to the Gonstead technique because, again, that's what I'm familiar with. It's what made sense to me. It's what had always gotten results with me and like provided this miracle of me not having these seasonal allergies anymore. Um, and so he saw my dedication to that. And then within 9 months of starting school, he was building a new office and there was going to be room for 3 chiropractors there. And he asked for me to come back and be one of them. So
Yay.
That was
Okay, that's
so, and
brilliant.
then of course, I was like, all right, well, I'll move back to Iowa for a couple years. I'll get my bearings and like figure out how I'm doing this thing. And then I'm going to leave. And then I'm going to go somewhere fun and exciting and like gain the experience and then dip. I've been there 8 years now and I'm not going anywhere. Like, it's just the best setup. Like, I get to work with my best friends. It very much feels like I know that that was exactly where I needed to be. And so I feel like my journey is actually a little bit backwards, where after probably about 5 years in practice, like seeing tons and tons of miracle type cases, like I work with lots of babies and children and like pregnant women, and we see miracles every day. Sometimes I kind of take for granted, like resolving bedwetting for a child and for like what that means for that family or that 10-year-old who can now go to sleepovers and things because they're not embarrassed to like spend the night with their friends and things. We say all the time that miracles are everyday business within chiropractic, and it really is. But there was also this element of like these issues keep coming back. Like all of these things that people are dealing with, like are recurring and like they get somewhat better, but they don't totally resolve. And it kind of mirrored my own healing as well, where chiropractic provided so many miracles in my life. And then it's like, not that it stopped working, but it was just like I started to need something else where I was just having other symptoms like really intense period cramps was one, like breaking out in hives all over my body was another. Just things that were coming up where I knew like there was something more and it caused me to dig deeper. So now in this phase of life, I feel like I have been on this sense of discovery. It's like, well, what else is there? And so not necessarily but the feeling of being lost or like there's something more and I don't know what to do and I don't know how to do it, like that came about much later in life for me versus being the 18-year-old who's like, well, I have no idea what to do with the rest of my life. I was feeling that at like 28. So it's like, dang, I thought my path was set. Like I thought we were good to go. And it's like, but shoot, like there's more. So that has been an interesting transition to be, it feels different to not be so certain. And at the same time, I think having all those early experiences helped cultivate a trust where it's like things are going to work out, like the right thing is going to come along when it needs to, but just like being kind of lost in the waves of uncertainty quite a bit. So, yeah, that just forced me really to seek different kinds of help and guidance. And that's like really broadened my horizons to what health is based on what I've needed. So,
Fabulous.
Was quite incredible in the sense of kind of like it's amazing how purpose dipped in and actually seeded into your subconscious as you move through that, but also being brave enough to have the flexibility of whatever is in alignment to go with that flow and surrendering to, okay, what is it is. And it's like there's options out here, like going through the book and being like, okay, chiropractic it is. Like I'm trying all options and seeing what falls in for you. One thing I found quite interesting is how did you manage or work through kind of like really, because it seems like you're building a practice that blends kind of like clinical and physical with the intuitive and the metaphysical side of things. So I can see how that evolution came about, but how did you actually step into that space of moving through that credibility aspect of the physical and the clinical to now introducing this aspect? Because I think a lot of us move through that when we're very much in corporate jobs and we really just want to follow a passion and a purpose that perhaps we feel will be judged by other people. Like, how did you navigate through that for yourself?
yeah, I mean, I really feel like I was kind of pushed into it, to be honest. I feel like, because in the calls that you and I have had together, you've said the phrase like you had to come out of the spiritual closet a bit, which is true. That's really what it felt like. It was very like confronting to be like, well, these are my actual beliefs, so to just be comfortable within that, within myself first, where it's like acknowledging that what my beliefs are, but also just my own experiences. I feel like last year I was dealing with some really intense stomach pain that like was coming on the point where it was physically difficult to adjust patients. So it was honestly just not, it was something I couldn't ignore anymore, where it was just like pushed to the forefront of my mind. And then I reached out to a friend who does NET because that was I preferred like route of healing is always going to be the natural way and looking at all the aspects of the person. I was doing all the diet, I was sleeping well, I was getting chiropractic care, I was like doing all those things, but the emotional side was getting kind of ignored. So I reached out to a friend that I knew was savvy with that. She did one clearing on me, and then I never had that pain again. So it was almost like I had to be a little bit trial by fire, where it's like, Sarah, like, this exists, like, this helps people, and like, you can't deny it anymore. Where it felt like forced confrontation of it, essentially. Then after I had that experience, I was like, like, I just have to do this. Like, this is the thing. Like, I know how many people this can help. Like, this has been brought to my attention for me to like carry this forward. I've also in the last 2 years really learned a lot about like my own human design and like what my actual purpose is here. And a lot of it is it's like I only have one channel in my chart, and it's divine translation. So it's like one of my pretty much, I don't want to say my only talent, but the only talent that's highlighted in that chart is like to take like these very heady, complex topics that seem kind of like woo woo and crazy and actually distill them down to something that's very digestible and understandable. So it's like knowing that about myself, because I was very afraid of being judged for being like, how can clearing emotions like fix this problem? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But for me, like, well, I literally had this experience where the pain was there and then it was gone. I've had several other experiences like that as well, where it's like I have like concrete personal narrative experience of that. And if I know that my talent is actually to like bring awareness to these kind of crazy topics in a way that like the mass, like majority of people can understand, then of course it's my responsibility to do that. So it just felt like, again, it wasn't really a choice. It was like, you have these talents and then this has been placed in front of you, so you go for it. And I guess that's kind of been my attitude throughout all of this. I haven't thought about this in a while, but my dad's brother passed away when I was in high school of colon cancer. But one of his quotes that he always said was, if you have the ability and the opportunity, you have an obligation. And I actually have that like as a quote, like on my wall. And I haven't consciously connected that, but that totally is like how I've lived with this, where it's like, all right, like I know that these are my talents, like this has come up in my field. It's like, okay, that means it's time to take action. So it's almost just like learning to recognize those signs and those nudges and just not be afraid to just take the next step. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back, is that they can't see the whole roadmap, but nobody can. That's the thing, is nobody has the map. Like it always feels like other people can see things that you can't see, and like they have things figured out, but nobody has that. All you have is the bravery to take the next right step that's in front of you, and then find the next right step after that, and then after that, and then just see where it takes you. And I appreciate you saying like having like the surrender for being able to pivot, but really it was more like, well, I can like back out if I need to. Like that's how it actually felt at the time, where I was like, okay, we're going to bravely step forward and I have an exit route. Like, it's going to be fine. I can go for it. But then I can also leave and go back and pretend that this never happened. So there were elements of that as well, but it just kept working out. So I was like, okay, so like, we'll just keep going. We'll just keep following it and see what continues to work out. So I suppose some of that natural curiosity played out in my favor, but yes, there's always fear there as well. It's just, I mean, do you let the fear be bigger than the curiosity or not? So
I love
Thank
that.
thank you for sharing. I know there's so many reflections I have and then questions. Some of these are I love the way you described your interactions with your path early on. And it also made me reflect on when the first word that came out of my mouth when I was 17 was computing. I like computers. I'm going to do computing. And sometimes I felt that that was lazy because it felt a bit like that. I was rushed. It was last minute decisions about where I'd go to university. And I had no conversations with any grown-ups about it. I was just like,
oh,
I think I'll go for this. And what was fascinating was just like you say, and just like you were just saying about like facing our fear and taking a step forwards. The message I had from my guides in meditation this morning was like the every journey like starts with one brave step. And sometimes that step like is the first step in a marathon, it's the first step in starting your own business, writing down the business name, or just saying you have the idea, or just saying out loud, I'm going to be a psychic spiritual mentor, or whatever you choose. always has a first step. And it's so funny because culturally we often don't celebrate it. But it is actually the biggest part, right? It's that moment where
Mm-hmm.
you go, okay, it's now this. And I
Mm-hmm.
also love when you said, I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. And I adopted that attitude with reflexology, then Swedish massage, now Indian head massage, because I'm just like, I won't know until I train in it and try it. And then I'll
Mm-hmm.
just decide afterwards because I know on the way I'm going to learn some stuff, probably meet some
Mm-hmm.
interesting people. Also, the line of business I'm in, everyone's a potential customer,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't lose, right? I'm just going to get out my hermit mode and go and meet some people and learn something fun. And if it's fun, I'll keep doing it. If not,
Mm-hmm.
I'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and the question I had for you was exactly what you're talking about with emotions because I more and more through I'm not really sure how many hundreds of sessions I've done with clients, but my mental model now is I feel that it's the our bodies are designed to with some like coping mechanisms for negative energy, like our own negative self-talk, energy that we absorb from around us or into us, like our food, etc. And one of those includes things like taking off your shoes, walking barefoot on the ground, and releasing that energy into the ground. And our bodies, because our bodies just seem to do this naturally, like everything goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there's no, as I learned from reflexology, there's no coincidence that your hands and feet have all the nerve endings. So when you
Mm-hmm.
connect to the ground, you can release stuff and
Mm-hmm.
also receive.
Yeah.
And I was really fascinated in the kind of the magic and the mystery of it, like because it's such a uh, it's not super metaphysical what emotions are, but their effect on us and how our body reacts to them is super incredible. And I was
Mm-hmm.
really interested in your experiences with um, your now multiple modalities of helping people heal and how you bring them together, especially around emotional health and its effect on the physical body.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I mean, with these things, I people are always asking like, well, can it help with X, Y, and Z? And it's like, well, I can't promise an outcome for you because the body is such a mystery at times, as much as we do know, like, I don't know how things are going to react. I was like, but first of all, it's worth a try. You're going to get some benefit from clearing out these things that are not positively serving you in any way. Like, will it resolve the exact symptom that you're after? Like, I don't know. But I will say that most of the time it does. Like, especially, it's fascinating doing this with babies because they of course have no like there's no placebo, like they have no idea what's happening,
Mhm.
what's going on, and then the parents witness it, and there's no denying that there's a change. Lately I've had a couple babies that are like just screaming when they're in the car seat, even one that would scream if she saw the car seat, not even in the car seat, and mom's like, I don't know what happened, like this has never been an issue before, but like we can't go anywhere or do anything. It's so stressful for the mom. She's actually physiologically connected with that little baby, so if the baby's in distress, this is something I didn't like understand until the last couple years, where it's not
Mhm.
like the mom's trying to shush the baby because she wants the baby to be quiet. She literally physiologically is having an adrenaline rush because that child is not okay, and her body will not calm down until the child is calmed down. So, like the cascade of effects that that has, like to not be able to go to Target and just grab a couple things, like because she knows her kid's gonna scream in the car, it's like this is just the stress that moms don't need, honestly. So we cleared out, I don't remember, it was like a list of like 5 or 6 things that we cleared with the emotions. With kids, it's all very passive. I utilize muscle testing for everyone. And then for kids, it's just a magnet that runs along the governing meridian right through here. All of the emotional work that I am aware of that I have been trained in is based around traditional Chinese medicine and different emotions being stored within certain organs based on like the energy meridians that are there. So if you clear the governing meridian, it kind of clears everything beneath that.
Mhm.
And the magnet helps do that. So you literally clear with the magnet, and then I utilize the body work because the fascial release is super helpful because all that emotional energy is stored within the fascia. So it's an energetic release, and then it's also a physical release of any distortions in the body that were there. But that child has not had a single issue with the car seat since. And so the mom can come and go as she pleases. She can do what she needs to do, get things done. Everybody's happy and content again. So, I mean, it's just there, to me, it feels like there's no limit to like what this can help with. And it seems to be that the more like traditional routes of healing are kind of failing people more often, where it's just like what used to work doesn't seem to be working anymore. So people are digging deeper and becoming more open to things. And even if the attitude is like, I'm willing to try anything, like I'm desperate, like that's great, like perfect. The willingness is all I need, is for people to give it a shot. And then once you have an experience with it, it no longer seems woo-woo and magical. It's just like, oh yeah, like of course this is how things happen. And I just think that there's no better wisdom than experience yourself. So once you have an experience where these things are helped, then it just becomes like ingrained in who you are. Like I think belief is not even the right word. It's like an embodiment of that. You're like, well, of course, this is the way that it is. So it is nice to like have people have an experience with that. But I mean, with adults, it's been a lot of like mental, emotional heaviness. It's been a lot of like stomach pains, like a lot of stomach pains, things that are not able to be explained by the traditional scientific rules. So again, people are like, they're not finding anything wrong with X, Y, and Z. Like, let's look at something else. Yeah, it's been a pretty amazing wide variety. Like even a baby that had poor circulation, that helps with that. We're like, perfect. Like now her hands and feet have enough blood flow. But I love what you're saying about like the grounding being part of it. I have a mentor who talks about like literally like your body being a battery, and like being connected to the sun and the earth and like to nature is like what charges our bodies up. So I have found, even I just talked to Natasha about this yesterday, that with it being more springtime, people have way more capacity and energy to like let things go than they had over the winter. And I think it's because we're able to be outside and be in nature and like have our feet on the ground, and like just things are more willing and able to move in this change of seasons. It's been pretty fascinating to see that. So I'll be very curious to see like what patterns emerge like seasonally. And I think a lot of it has to do with being outside and connected to nature, and like off charging the bad stuff and then soaking up those electrons to build up that body battery too. Yeah, I think it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it absolutely is fascinating in the sense of, I think I read somewhere that we're positively charged and the ground is negatively charged. And once you start to allow that exchange of energy, it brings in that balance, which is absolutely incredible. But working with uh, babies, especially up until the age of 2, I've noticed two similarities that I just want to share about. So I'm also doing craniosacral therapy as well, and I've worked on mums before to work on their children's digestive systems too. And as you're working with the mom, you actually see the release happening within the child, which I found very, very fascinating as well. And so I've seen that with parents and children and babies, especially mums and babies. But I've also seen it with people with animals. Like if I've been asked to treat animals, and I will not treat an animal without treating the owner at the same time, because there is that interconnectedness within that nervous system as well. So it's treating both of them at the same time. And I love this kind of like looking at this medicine from a physical, mental, emotional perspective, but also from an interconnectedness that is happening as well, which is pretty fascinating. And we're all interconnected. And I think that perhaps I'm wondering, and the question is really, do you think that we're looping back into connecting with nature and the power of medicine from that perspective? And I think science is important, absolutely. But I think at the top of science is metaphysics. So connecting into kind of like leading the way with that, I think is quite important in that sense, even if it's kind of like a little bit kind of like left field from what is normal within that. And again, seasonally looking at what's happening, I think in general, on a world level, I don't think we're stomaching what we used to stomach in a general environment, in our works, in our education, in the medical system, and all that. Like we physically can't stomach those patterns and those, never mind our own intergenerational stuff. But I think on a and that's what I've been getting lately. And it's kind of like, and that's why it's that letting go and that surrendering, which your story is absolutely beautiful. And kind of like, it seems that you in that flow constantly as surrendering to, okay, so this is coming up for me. What's next? What is this, that curiosity, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I have wondered, like I agree that like it seems like more people are open to these things, more people than I ever imagined. Like, and I'm glad that I've become more bold in saying it. But of course, I'm a big momentum person where it's like once you tell one person and they're like they receive it positively, you're like, oh, I can do that again. Like I can keep going and keep doing this. And then like if you get a little rejection, it's not so bad because you had all these other people who responded positively. But it does seem that there are more people who are open to like the explanation than I would have thought. And I have wondered, I'm like, is this because this is just in my field? So that's what I'm attracting is people who are ready for that, which I do think is an element. But it's like collectively, is everybody experiencing this as well? It's like I only have my lived experience. And I'm sure it's both that people are really just looking for different things. And I mean, in the whole spectrum of like medicine, science versus like more metaphysical, like chiropractic's already kind of dodging towards the metaphysical side anyway. So like those people who are within chiropractic see results with chiropractic, like how can adjusting my spine help my infant's like constipation? And then they watch it happen. They're like, oh God, well, what else is there? And so it's like, yeah, I can actually do this, this, and this. And they're, I think it probably is like, well, let's see it. And then I don't know. So it just seems that I'm already like kind of finding people who seem to be open to that. But it would be very interesting to talk to somebody completely removed from this world at all to see if they have that same experience or not, or if I'm just attracting all the people who are ready, which I think is also true.
Well, that's amazing. Like my experiences were I started out doing psychic and psychic readings and quantum healing combined mostly remotely just before lockdowns, and for people in the US and Canada. Um, and so I was doing that a couple of sessions a week, and then eventually I plucked up the courage to leave my corporate job at Amazon for 26 years. Well,
Wow.
not at Amazon for 26 years, 8 years there before then, other companies. Um, but yeah, I took that brave step and just May last year left. And what it was quite funny even telling people in my corporate job what I was doing because I'd start the conversation by like kind of easing them into it. I'd say, oh, I'd qualified as a mindfulness meditation teacher at the time I was studying reflexology and also energy healing. And then I would say, if I was feeling like really comfortable, I would say, and psychic readings. And they would like kind of look at you like, whoa, is there anything you're missing there, John? um, and uh, and what I found was for the first few months, a lot of my work was online, and I almost had this mental picture that it was just people in North America that were more open to this because that was my direct experience. And when I mentioned, combining a psychic reading and quantum healing to people in the UK, they were like, "Oh, what is that? Who taught you?" And I was like, "I just learned it on the job. I've just been doing it for years now, and it seems to really help people." And it it was triggered by one of my experiences where someone had done like some remote Reiki on me, and it really cleared my chest. Like there's months and months, if not years, of buildup of this kind of toxic energy I was just storing in me and dimming my light, and it felt like almost like I'd been smoking, like smoking cigarettes back when I was a teenager. Um, but now, over the last 6 months, I've been doing in-person sessions, and a lot of it was like getting people, like meeting people where they're at. So come in for reflexology foot massage, come in for Swedish massage, etc. And then I was also, what was really fascinating, I think only in 6 months I only had two bookings that weren't a combination of a psychic reading and quantum healing at the same time as one of those other treatments. And I think that was really interesting way of connecting people was saying, well, here's something you're familiar with. Would you like some metaphysical fries with that? And they're like, yeah, that sounds, I've never tried it. What's it like? And say, oh, you might enjoy it. It doesn't require any touch, and I'll just be talking a lot and record the whole thing for you. Um, and I find it like you guys, this trend of people coming and they're saying, my often it's like high anxiety, stress, tension, irritable bowel syndrome like symptoms, spinal issues, and tension in the neck and shoulders. And what really fascinates me about that is that when I learned reflexology, um, and I qualified last year, the kind of backstory to it is we're not really sure, right? Several thousand years, probably. It's even in ancient Egypt and various monuments, but no one really knows quite where it came from and exactly how it works. And yet it was developed for humans that were likely thousands of years before us. And they didn't have mobile phones, they didn't have dodgy fast food diet opportunities like we do. And they also didn't sit at a desk for 26 years like me, like typing furiously and answering emails. And they were likely much less in their heads and more into their hearts. And I'm really interested in both of your experiences of that, of these more ancient techniques, and how we seem to very naturally and intuitively adapting them for the modern human, which is has a lot more challenges.
Yes, definitely. And I couldn't agree more. I feel like I refer to like all of that stuff collectively as like ancient wisdom systems. It's like the amount of knowledge that they had like is honestly insane. Like, and I feel like now we're just like catching up to that. And that's why some things for research, like, yes, I think it's very nice to have like confirmation of things and be like, oh, wow, this is cool. Like, it's validating. But I also am not really one to wait for research to come around, because I'm like, listen, they had this figured out forever ago. And it's like, if this is working and it's not causing any harm, like, I have no problem doing it. Like, I have come into like not requiring a full-on explanation to believe in things anymore, or it's just like, I don't really need to explain this top to bottom and like understand completely how it works for it to get results and to make things better for people. So it is very incredible to me. Like, long ago they had so many things figured out, and I do think it's because they had less distractions. They were just like sitting with themselves and talking to each other. Like, there were just less things going on. And I think the modern world creates so many different and new stresses. It's like it is almost like a circling back to like the more ancient type things where like, listen, like, we want to slow down. Like, people in my generation talk about like building a life where they work less and they like enjoy life more. And I feel like my parents' generation, like, that does not exist as an option. Like, you can't. But it's like, I just think everyone now is more open to possibility, where it's like, well, I can create the life that I want. And like, and that comes with other challenges also, like following the right path and knowing what that path is. But it just seems like as a collective, everybody, things like how things have always been done is really shifting. And that makes me really excited, because I think that it's going to move into a much healthier direction for everyone, because the way we live life right now, like, it is not sustainable. Oh man, to eat like the yucky food, to not prioritize sleep, to just like be stuck in the fluorescent lighting, like, it's tough. Like, we were never meant to live like that. We were designed to be connected to the earth and playing and like having connection with people and like love, like hugs, and, like, so many people are so isolated and have no real human connection. They don't eat real food. It gets into a very, sometimes could seem like a very scary thing. And almost, I'm glad to have connections with other people, because sometimes I feel like there's too much to do in the world. Like, I can't do it all. And it makes me really stressed. But then it's like, okay, I have to stay grounded. Like, this is my role in all of this. There's lots of other people that can help with like the diet, the exercise, all that stuff, and like just focusing in on what my talents are. So I think that almost can be for people who are like branching out and looking at all of the things, like, to like, it is helpful to have some blinders where it's like, it's not your job to do everything. Like, what is your job to do? Like, what keeps showing up? Like, what opportunities are coming your way? Like, and like niching down into that, because it can become very overwhelming to try to do everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing, because once you start seeing one thing, you start uncovering all these other things as well, which is quite fascinating. I love your company name, Seed. If you could plant one belief system as a seed in people's minds from your experience, what would it be?
Oh man. Oh, I think honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is like trust. Just like trusting that things are going to work out. And that didn't really come naturally to me. It's been an evolution to like get to that, and even still much more to like fully trust that, like trusting in timing, trusting in the right opportunities, trusting closed doors as much as you trust open doors. Like that, I think just to know that like we all have like a divine path, purpose, And sometimes life is about uncovering that. It's not about like knowing it right away, and like just being at peace with the journey and how things unfold. I think that that would just be, the world would be a very different place if we all really deeply believed and like embraced that.
I love
Wow.
that.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I love the name too. You help bring back a memory for me. For some reason, I keep having incredibly accurate recalls of very young ages recently, and so I had this memory of about, I think I was age 4, and I just just been to the toilet. So it's a very matter of fact human thing. Just came out the toilet, and my mom was shouting to me, "John, what is it you want to be when you grow up?" And I stopped for a moment and I said, "Spaceman, fireman, sailor, or mechanic." And at no point did I say computing programmer or manager or psychic, spiritual healer, mentor. And yet the feeling in the moment was so true. Was just like, I decide, and it's as simple as that. I just
Mm.
decided, and that's what it becomes. And you know, it's, I think you were saying earlier, Sarah, sometimes we, as adults, we just get fixated on, yeah, but I don't know how to run a marathon, so how will I start? It's like,
Mhm.
well, how do you think everyone else did? Why do you think they just
Yeah.
sat and came up with a project plan or something? Or you probably did
Mhm.
start running and see how much you enjoy it, because you're going to have to enjoy it quite a lot to want
Mhm.
to keep going at it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that is really fabulous, and it does feel like your path calls you, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
it feels like there are multiple paths, and you can explore them and try them out. And some of the paths, some of the things will likely be things that just don't work out, just to make sure that you knew exactly that the other thing is definitely what you want to do.
Yes.
Um, and sometimes it's a non increasingly I see my clients as well, like non-traditional career paths. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure a career advisor wouldn't have said to me when I was 17, so the best thing is 26 years in software. After that, become a psychic. You're gonna love it. It's a perfect transition. You're like, why? How does that work? Oh, because you'll have shut yourself down for so many decades that you'll be so ready for it. And you'll be ready to come out your closet and everything. You're like, I'm a
Yes,
psychic. I did it.
totally.
Um,
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's so funny.
um, but yeah,
That's awesome.
it's such an honor to both witness your journey, and I definitely resonate with some of those feelings latterly you're saying about sometimes when we see the mess of the world around us, and it's all
Mhm.
just reflections from within us, right? Myself included, and it can feel a bit overwhelming when you step into these areas. But we know that it just takes one person, right? It takes one person to start the conversation. It takes one person to start and lead by example and say, well, even if you think I'm crazy, I'm going to lightly enjoy it. I might even make some money and a living doing it. And maybe I'll help people. And you only really need to help one person, right? And it starts with you and then maybe some others as well.
Mhm.
And that's what helps change this world, right? It's not just I need the Jon Binnie 10-day plan to fix the whole
Yeah.
world.
Yes,
um, it,
yes.
it doesn't need to be that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just having a conversation with a friend that it's like, if we all just like really understood that we have a purpose and like the whole point of life is to find and live that purpose, like that, yeah, the world would just be vastly different. So I would love for people to just connect in with themselves to be able to like, first of all, trust that a path has been laid, that there's something here for them to do and to learn and to provide for the world, and then like give them the little nudge to like seek that out and do it. Like it would just be incredible.
So speaking about the path being laid, I find that quite interesting. So John, I had a very similar experience to you when I was kind of like switching careers as well. I went and there was an astrologer that I knew in Calgary, and she said, "Oh, you're going to be teaching." And I was like, "No way am I
Mhm.
teaching." I was like, "Nope, not doing it. I can't even sit in front of a boardroom and have a conversation with people without being, in front of them." And she was like, "Nope, you're going to be doing it." And 2 years later, I was doing it, which was incredible. And the other thing that she was also quite psychic, and she's like, "There's another service that you're going to be offering," and I was like, "What?" She goes, "It starts with an A," and I was like, like, what? And I was like, Akashic? And she's like, yeah, you're going to be doing that for people. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm doing it for myself right now. And she's like, no, you are. And I'm like, people are going to think I'm crazy, especially at the time. I have to close my eyes to really get in. I have to do all the rest of this. And it's like, and I was like, nope. And then lo and behold, it was kind of like that demand, that pull to it does start coming in. So this was through astrology. How do you, first of all, give us just a quick synopsis of what is human design and how does that also tie into the physical, emotional, I suppose that brings in a little bit of a mental, spiritual aspect to it as well.
Human design is a synthesis of several ancient wisdom systems. So it's like it blends the chakras, astrology, like the Kabbalah tree of life. Gosh, I feel like I'm missing another one, but it's a blend of like these very ancient systems. It's based on like the energy that you're imprinted with when you're born, and then also 88 days prior to that. I feel like the best way I like to describe it is like an alignment tool where it's like, okay, this is what I was imprinted with when I was born. This is actually how I move best through the world. This is how I best make decisions and like know that I'm on the right path. Um, and it comes with a chart, like a visual, which is really cool. I know that there's something like with these physical body graphs and what's happening in the body. I'm just starting to like kind of distill some of those ideas down. So that makes me really excited because I know there's much, much more to explore and uncover with those patterns. But it's almost from what I've seen, like there are certain like each energy type kind of has their own challenges. I just had a friend who's a generator. So the generators are like the people who like physically create stuff and do stuff in the world. They have a lot of access to work type energy. The caveat is they only have access to that energy when it's something that like lights them up and is in alignment for them to do. Otherwise, if they're doing something that's out of alignment, they feel burnout. But I have a friend who was like looking at all of the types and kind of comparing the different ones. And so a manifester is kind of like the spark starters. Like they have a lot of ideas and they build momentum in the world, whether they start the momentum themselves and then they hand projects off to people who are built to finish them, or if they're meant to like say something to someone who activates a mission within them. Like they're the ones who just like get momentum going, and they're kind of labeled as like the visionaries. So she was asking, she was like, well, how, like, why do they get to like see the whole thing and they're visionaries and they have all of this, but like I'm the worker, like how do I create a vision and know where I'm going? And I'm like, no, 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 like nobody has the whole thing. Like it's literally always just the next right step, and like how do you respond to what's in front of you? So from what I have described seeds as is almost like, and why I named it this really is like, again, like you said, like planting the belief systems, where I feel like NET is like pulling weeds. It's like getting rid of the physiological emotional stress from the body. So it's like getting rid of the stuff you don't need anymore. The CFT is like tilling the soil, where it's like we're prepping the body for new stuff to come in by like undoing the old physical patterns that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And then human design is like picking and choosing which seeds you actually want to plant in your garden, where it's like, okay, these are the things that are correct for me to do. Like I need more rest than other people. I need to wait for invitations, or I need to be the one to speak to initiate things. Based on that chart, you know, like how to move forward. Because what I don't want is for people to come to me, get an emotional clearing, and then go back to their life and do things exactly the same way. So they have more stuff for me to clear out later. I want them to plant new seeds and new belief systems and understand like, oh no, like I'm this person, this is who I'm meant to be. And then we just clear out things that become in their way as they evolve through that, where they bump up against the next hurdle. It's like, no, we're going to clear this. And so it's like just deeply rooting in who they are by choosing to plant the seeds of like understanding who they truly are at an energetic level. So that's my favorite way to use human design, is to say like, you're having this struggle, like you're meant to do things this way. There's also quite a bit of intuition with it as well. The chart is very, very, very deep. There's so many aspects to it. So I like to look at a person's entire chart before I meet with them. And then based on what issues they're having, I usually have like a spark where I'm like, oh, this was in your chart. And then that's like exactly what they needed to hear and feel validated and understand like how to shift and change that perspective to move forward differently. So much of it is hard to predict and explain because it just happens in the moment with my intuition. But a lot of it is based on the information that I saw in the chart. I'm like, oh, like that's what this aspect means. Like this is going to help you right now. So it very much, human design seems to be, as far as what I found, the best way to understand how another individual works to help guide them on their path, essentially.
Wonderful. And do you blend your different techniques together, like in a single session, or how do you work with them?
It's usually, well, I'll do the emotional clearing first, and then it kind of depends. Like, usually, especially with an adult, we're talking through things a little bit with NET, so I know what's happening. With babies, there's less to discuss just because they're
Yeah.
not really like mentally involved with it. Of course, like
Mhm.
energetically very involved. But if I get a sense that there's something in their chart after we clear the emotions, I will tell them about that, and then we'll go to the table, because the table is like quiet time for them to integrate, like have any extra thoughts come up, like more like mental and body processing with what's going on. And
Mhm.
then sometimes we'll go straight from the emotional clearing to the physical clearing, and then we'll talk about the human design after. It just kind of depends. It is a little bit sectioned. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes more blended and more seamless.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some fluidity within that so far. But I just, again, I'm leaving a lot of room for things to change. It's been very interesting to me, for me, to go from something very regimented and like a very specific protocol within what I do with chiropractic, to something that like there is no protocol. Nobody else that I know of has blended these things this way. Like, I'm fully figuring it out on my own. There's no one to look up to. Like, there's no one who's going to tell me what's right or wrong. It's a lot more discovery, which is very freeing, but it's also very scary because I'm not used to that. So things are welcome to shift and change.
Oh, fabulous. Well done. Yeah, I definitely encourage people to explore and blend their services to see, feel intuitively what works for your
Mhm.
clients and what you enjoy doing, right?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
really enjoyed the journey of blending psychic and quantum healing and reflexology and massage and Indian head massage, and I'm sure there'll be more in the future.
Yeah.
Well, before I go into if I can say it, a mindful meditation, because often my voice will send you into a nice, calm, relaxed, and sleepy state if it doesn't to you, it will to me. Um, and how do people get in touch with you, Sarah? What's the best way to contact you?
Right now, the best way is on Instagram. It's at seeds.by.sarah, and there's no H on Sarah. I'm currently, my website is under construction. So if you go to seedsbysarah.com, you'll see a coming soon page.
Okay,
Someday soon, there will be lots more information up there. But the caveat is right now it's not quite ready. We're in the process of building it. But those two places would be the best way to find me.
fabulous. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I will say thank you and goodbye at the end, but right now we can go into meditation if you'd like to join me for a few
Love it.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you'd like to join me, we'll start by taking in a deep breath through the nose and breathe out any fear, shame, anxiety, or pain nice and loud. And breathe in through the nose nice and deep. And breathe out any remaining low vibration, emotion nice and loud. And breathe in through the nose nice and deep. And release out through the mouth nice and loud. And continue to breathe deeply and calmly. And I'd like you to focus your attention now on the center of your heart and just bring your awareness out across your whole body, checking in with your body and asking how you're feeling at this time. How is your heart feeling? How are all your bones, your nervous system, your veins, muscles, every aspect of you? How's it all feeling at this time? Allow this feeling to come forwards in your heart. And as you remain connected with your body, bring your awareness now from your heart down to the base of your spine. And from there, I'd like you to imagine you're creating a cord of light deep down into the ground. And just extend that now, nice and deep through the ground and through the crust of the earth. And go deep through the layers of the planet, as deep as it feels right for you. And as we connect into Mother Earth, into Mother Gaia, extend your gratitude to her, and your love, and the awareness that we all share the same home together, the same planet. And as you ground in this way, allow anything to release from you that no longer serves your highest good. Imagining that you're a human-sized glass of water, and the very top of your head is the opening of the glass, where any of the water appears dark or muddy or dirty, where there's low vibration energy, which is yours or from anything else, allow it to gently release now, out through your hands and feet, and through the base of your spine, emptying that glass, low vibration energy deep into earth, down through your grounding cord. And we ask Mother Earth to alchemize and transmute this energy to be food and fertilizer, compost for other living things in the future. And as we're all children of Earth, we all have this opportunity, this right to be able to release our energy into Earth and to help feed the cycle of life. Now, from the center of your heart this time, I'd like you to bring awareness up to the top of your head. And with a light cord at the top of your head, look up and become aware of the hot sun at this time where we are in this part of the world as the sun is beginning to show itself more in springtime. Just extend a cord of light all the way up, deep into the surface of the sun, reaching as far into the core of the sun as it feels right. Again, extending our gratitude and love for the sun, and allow yourself to receive that infinite abundance, that golden white light of the sun. Allow it to flow down in and around the cord of light, down to the top of your head, and to now enter your whole body, saturating, permeating, clearing, healing, and activating every aspect of you, every dimension of you. And any energy in excess, allow it to release down through your roots of your spine and into earth. And now that you're feeling even more relaxed and comfortable, become aware of where you are, not just in your body, but in your life at this time. There is a path ahead of you, and it's calling you. It's been calling you in your dreams. It's been calling you in signs, feathers, and unexpected places, repeating numbers and patterns, clocks, and even car bumper stickers. And the things that people say and the thoughts you find yourself saying to yourself, this path is illuminating its way. It is a path that you chose in this life already. There are many paths for you to choose and to explore, and this path has your greatest joy, your greatest self-love, your greatest well-being, the greatest, most powerful experiences to help you grow in this life and to help your soul grow. And I'd like you to look down now at your feet, if you're sitting or lying down, wherever you are, and see there's an empty patch of earth in front of you. This is the first step to your path. Every day is an opportunity to start afresh, a brand new step forwards. And the single most important action for you to take is your decision, your free will decision, your universal right to decide whether you step forwards at this time. And just before you do, I'm going to hand you a seed. It's a seed that you've been holding onto in your heart for some time. As I place this seed into your fingertips, all I'm doing is allowing this seed growth of your future path, and your dream life, allowing you to feel it, manifest it within your fingertips. If you choose to, you can place this plant, this seed, directly into the earth in front of you and just push it gently a centimeter or two down into the earth. Loosen the soil around it, add in a little bit of water, and then place your two hands, just gently over the seed. And together we send in this love energy. I grow the seed of my first path step. There will be many seeds and many days and many steps ahead of me. I will follow my heart, allow the path to call me and my heart to light the way. And sometimes I'll stumble and sometimes I'll fall off this path. And when I do, I will return to this path with even more strength, conviction, and bravery. I do not need to fix this whole world, but I know I have the opportunity to help heal myself, to bring an end of the cycles of pain through my ancestry and through my lineage and through my family, with every step I take forwards, celebrating their hard work with every seed I plant and every step forwards I take. And if you look out across the path ahead of you, you'll see that it disappears gently into the sunlight, into the horizon. There's so much excitement and joy ready for you. It's calling you. These future aspects of you are calling your name. Celebrate this call. Celebrate yourself, dear soul, and keep being brave. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to doubt yourself. Just know that your bravery and your courage, your joy and excitement and your love are far more powerful than anything you fear. Please feel free to repeat this meditation as often as you choose. This whole world needs you to be you, and please do so as much as you can each day. And when you're ready, allow yourself to come back to your body, back to this moment. And perhaps you'd like to take a breath or a glass of water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely brought a few tears. I was the point where we got to the seeds. I was like, oh no, I'm going to start crying when it started talking about seeds. Oh, it was beautiful. Thank you for such wonderful content for meditation. It's such a pleasure to meet you, Sarah.
Yeah, you too.
And it'd be lovely to have you come on again and share an update on your story and also about your business and how you're continuing to grow on your path ahead of you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us today. It's so much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been awesome. I'm going to listen to that meditation often.
Yay, please do. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And we look forward to, we've got quite a few more guests lined up over the coming shows. So we're excited to share them with the world. And if you haven't already, watch all of our Mindful Leadership podcasts because they're just amazing. So thank you so much, everyone, and keep following your dreams. I will see you all in the next episode. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.